Hi, and welcome to another episode of Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Waffle, glad to see you once again here on this lovely Tuesday. I say lovely, it's been pouring down rain here in Tennessee all day. But man, how's your week been?
Week's been good, tiring as usual, but it has been good. Got a flex day this week, so I won't have to work a full day on Thursday. So I'm excited about that. But
Very
good.
nice. Yeah, it's been busy. Crossover season is here. If you know any friends of college athletics, we had everybody at home on Saturday at Carson-Newman, and it continues to roll along here. A lot of things going on. It's kind of weird we're starting the show with no football to talk about, really. Well, we'll check in on some stuff for football related, but we'll start off, of course, with college basketball, which is in full swing, and it's hard to believe it's already the almost the end of February, which means it's almost tournament time. Off.
Yeah. It's an exciting time of year. It's the best time of year, honestly.
Absolutely. There's nothing better. I've already looked at my schedule. I get that Thursday. That Thursday of the NCAA tournament, I have nothing to do that day.
Yeah.
My goal is to stay home and at least watch that first round day.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. But yeah, college basketball getting down to the nitty gritty, and we'll check in on our teams, and we'll check in first with Duke, of course, and Duke, starting to find more of a rhythm again, I think. Now they had that heartbreaking loss to Virginia a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. But since then, they've routed off 4 straight wins, including a tough win over Wake Forest we talked about, and then they rolled over Florida State the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And now they finish up the season. They have a tough stretch to end the year, 3 straight road games before hosting North Carolina, and one of those will be a trip to Virginia, also a trip to the Carrier Dome. But man, I told you, it's kind of hard to pick out 4 good teams, but I think Duke might be one of those 4 good teams still, and all of NCAA basketball.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think I still stand true to. I think I said it last week. I can't remember, but Duke, like this Duke team, I feel like has the power to win it all, and I feel like that they can win it all. And that would just send Coach K out in the best way possible. Be really good if you're a Duke fan. Obviously, if you're not a Duke fan, you would hate that. But this team, I could see them if they make the Elite Eight or the Final Four. I think they'll win it. Yeah. But those first 3 rounds, I feel like this team would lose 100% in the first, second, or Sweet 16. Of the tournament. Like, I just feel like they get up for the big games. They've shown that with, their wins over North Carolina, their wins over Gonzaga, Kentucky, the big games like that. They've played well, and they've played sound basketball, and they've really shown how good they could be. But in these other games that you don't think about, the Miami game, the first Florida State game, Virginia in the midweek, like not bad losses. Ohio State too in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Not awful losses. They haven't been soundly killed by anybody, but they just don't get up for those little games. And I could very easily see them overlooking a 15 or 14 seed in the first round if that happens. But this Duke team does have a lot of talent, and they are playing well since that loss to Virginia. That Florida State game, they played very well, wire to wire. Florida State kind of hung with them in the first half a little bit, but they kind of separated themselves towards halftime, and then in the first couple minutes of the second half with Banchero going for 17 on 12 shots. He was 5 of 5 from the line as well. Something I want to mention, there's a pass in this game by Wendell Moore.
Yeah.
That is just unbelievable, where he gets the ball and then he just threads a chest passes it, bounces it off the floor from beyond half court to I can't remember who caught the ball, but to a guy who made a dunk. So all the way down in the paint. Just want to pass by Wendell Moore, but a good showing from Duke. All starters were in double figures. Wendell had 16, AJ Griffin had 15, Banchero 17, Mark Williams had 10, and Trevor Keels, who has been playing, started the year off hot in that first game against Kentucky, and then kind of tapered off, but he has really come on strong lately. So,
they've, like I said, they've looked really good down the stretch. 23 wins, with the most in the ACC. They're a game ahead of Notre Dame, who is in second, and a game and a half ahead of North Carolina, who is 20-8. And we'll get to that more when we talk about our bubble teams of how North Carolina really don't have any great wins, I don't think, but I think they're still a pretty good team. But Duke, looking strong toward the end. I mean, your only losses are to a Virginia team that's rebounded, a Florida State team that's still dangerous. They're not great this year, but still dangerous.
Any Leonard Hamilton team is going to be tough. They're always tough. He's a good coach.
A Miami team that's good and a good Ohio State team. Yeah, these are good losses. Of course, you want to finish strong down the stretch. You don't want to drop 2 to Virginia, but and you don't want to lose to your rival in what's Coach K's last game at Cameron. But this is gonna be a tough stretch down the end. It'll be interesting to see when they hit ACC tournament time. What's going to happen? The tournament is stacked this year. I think everybody at the beginning of the year talked about the ACC was kind of down this year. The top 5 seeds look really good. You have Duke, Notre Dame, North Carolina, and Miami are your top 4. They would get 2 days off. And then Wake Forest is your 5 seed right now, and they've looked really good this year.
Yeah.
And then your 6 seed's a Virginia team that still looks good. Syracuse is the only higher seed that kind of gives me some questions about because they play so up and down too. And then Virginia Tech is your 8 seed. I think Virginia Tech with Mike Young, coming up from Wofford. Wofford transfers too on that team. Storm Murphy, one of them, who's been really good this year. They're going to be dangerous. And, of course, Leonard Hamilton led Florida State team as well. It's going to be dangerous too. So your top 9 seeds, you can make a case for any one of them making a run.
Yeah.
Tournament. And like you said, talked about Duke having to get up for these lower games. I've seen several times where the team that projected to play a 15 seed is the Big South champion Longwood or Winthrop.
Yeah.
And both of those teams are very good, and I think could give Duke some trouble. I know Winthrop's got a transfer from Tennessee, DJ Burns, who's really good inside. Who he's got the size to take on Paolo Banchero. I don't know if he's got the skill to take him on, but he's got the size to at least, which could limit the Blue Devils early if he get into foul trouble or something. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because heck, we've seen them lose the 15 seeds, Lehigh, VCU before. We've seen that happen. And it's starting to happen more often because these mid-major teams are getting better for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure what happens there down the stretch of NCAA men's basketball. Looking at top 25, these are games happening right now as we record on a Tuesday. Tennessee's rolling Missouri. Again, Missouri's one of the worst basketball teams I've ever seen. Tennessee looking to rebound after losing to Arkansas, who's a very good team, and they're on the ropes against Florida right now. So the SEC's getting wild too down the stretch, especially toward the top. Villanova and UConn are going back and forth right now early in the first half. That's probably a preview of your Big East championship game, I would say. And then Texas Tech leads Oklahoma right now. Later, you got Kansas State, Kansas, which Kansas should roll in that one, and Alabama goes to Vandy. Alabama only took the win by 4.5 because Alabama plays good against the good teams and then just struggles against the kind of average teams. So they're one of those weird teams for sure. So we'll kind of roll through the standings a bit like we have done. But first, we got to preach the good word of IUPUI.
There is no
Jags
good word.
Did it.
There is no good word concerning a Jaguar. Never.
Oh man, they finally win a game over a Division I opponent, a conference win over Robert Morris, 66-56. They outscored the Colonials by 10 in the second half, with only 6 players available. 6 players available for the Jags, and they win this game. All 6 played, including Stanton coming off the bench at 25 minutes. Their leading scorers had 18 points. And they beat Robert Morris on the road. What a win. What a time to be a Jags fan. A lifelong Jags fan as myself. What a time to be alive.
Robert Morris, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. I think the actual Robert Morris turned over in his grave when this game happened. This is just ridiculous. Props to IUPUI for getting a conference dub, but that's ridiculous. They have 2 games left, and then their season's all but done. I'm assuming they make do they make their conference tournament? I'm guessing everybody does.
Tournament goes, let me see. So there's goes on the Horizon League website right now.
If they make their tournament and they win 1 game, we have failed as a society.
It looks like they make their tournament is what it looks like.
Anybody get buys, or do you know?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I believe so.
Who are they going to have to play?
I'm not. Oh yeah, here we go. Men's bracket. Let's see. Yeah, the top 4 seeds get buys, and everybody else plays. So they will play the number 5 seed.
Oakland.
They will play Oakland right now.
All right, Oakland. It's all going to be on you.
If they win that, they take on Cleveland State and have a chance to spoil the Vikings season.
Stop. Please stop. I've heard enough.
Another team that's cursed, and I gotta find it. I think it's this team I'm thinking of. Yeah, Delaware State has not won a conference game yet either.
Correct.
I believe that team has had a ton of close losses in a row. Yes, they have. They've had 3 straight close losses. They lost by 3 points to Norfolk State, 5 to North Carolina Central, who's a really good team, and they lost by 5 to South Carolina State the other night. And I meant to send you this clip. Delaware State took a 3-pointer. I would give them the lead late in this game, and the guy takes the shot, and he comes down on the South Carolina State defender's foot and falls over.
Yeah.
And they call it an offensive foul.
Oh my God. What?
And so Delaware State doesn't have the lead anymore. They were going to take a 1-point lead about a minute left, and they call a foul on Delaware State. Ball goes to South Carolina State. South Carolina State wins.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible.
So yeah, the Hornets are struggling out here.
Delaware State's last 7 games have all been decided by less than 7 points. So they've been trying. They've been trying really hard.
They have 2 wins over Regent and Cairn, I believe is how you say that. I don't think those are real cool. Yeah. They have not beaten a D1 team this year. So
I guess at least IUPUI can say they have.
This is true. Yeah. But yeah, rolling through standings, of course, what's wild too, looking at the Big South, which is conference near to my heart because of Gardner Webb. Their tournament starts next week as well, which is wild to think about. Most of these mid-major tournaments start next week. I think SoCon starts next week too, which could be a lot of fun. The Big South, the wild story is, of course, Longwood, who has only been D1 for, I believe this is their 15th year D1 maybe, and I think they've been in the Big South for about 9 or 8 years.
Yeah.
They've only been eligible for the NCAA tournament for a couple of years because of that. I think for about 8 years, and they are 21-6 and 13-1 in the conference, which is insane to think about. They've done a whole lot of renovations up there. They're first in the North Division. They would clinch the regular season championship because they have a tiebreaker over Winthrop. Will win on Wednesday. I can't remember who they play, but they win on Wednesday. The Lancers would clinch. They play Radford, a rivalry game. So
yeah, Radford's fallen off. I think it was wasn't it Radford that had a buzzer beater to win the Big South a couple years ago? Yeah,
they beat Liberty to win the Big South tournament in a buzzer beater, and then the next year Gardner Webb went to Radford and beat Radford in the Big South. Yeah, so Radford's won the Big South championship before. Yeah, they've kind of slid off a bit. They're 10-16 right now, but that's crazy to see Longwood do so well. And also, we gotta say this: goodbye North Carolina A&T and goodbye to Hampton because they're going to the Colonial Athletic Association. They run in scared of Gardner Webb. I'm just going to say that. Gardner Webb men's basketball beat A&T, and Gardner Webb football beat A&T. Came back from down 28-0 to beat them. Just saying. Aggie scared. I'm just saying.
Thanks.
But no, Big South tournament's going to be wild. All these mid-major tournaments, I feel like, are a lot of fun because that's when a lot of people kind of tune into these conferences. late in the year. And if you follow them all year, you know how fun it is. But if you tune in late and see the tournament, you see some crazy stuff. The SoCon tournament's had some crazy games.
Yeah.
The past few years. And right now, Chattanooga's first. They're 22-7. Right behind is Furman. I think Chattanooga already clinched the regular season. I think they won both games against Furman. I think that's going to be wild. And Chattanooga's 12-4, so you have a 4-loss team winning the conference, which is wild to think about on that end. So but just kind of looking through, we're going to kind of look at these bubble teams. There's some teams you got to make conversations for. You got to talk about, should they be in, should they not be in? And I'm going to give 4 teams. We're going to start off 4 teams that we think should be in. Kind of give our reasoning why, and then 4 teams that should probably not be in the tournament, and give our reasons why. So I'm going to start off first with 4 teams that should be in. I think Virginia. And Virginia's 17-10. They have that bad loss to James Madison, a bad loss to Navy, yes, but that was also the first month or so of the season, and they have a bad loss to Clemson too. But since then, I mean, they have a bad loss to NC State late. That's kind of a bad one too. But they go on the road and beat Duke in Cameron. They've beaten Miami. They only lost by 4 to Notre Dame. They have a tough loss to Virginia Tech. I think if they can go out strong, they have Duke, Florida State, and Louisville left. If they can beat Duke, I think that you got to put them in. They beat Duke twice. But if they can get 2 out of 3 of those and then make a decent run in the tournament, I think you got to at least look at Virginia. Probably maybe not a first 4 team, but probably a 13 seed or something like that.
Yeah.
And then continue to look. I think another one, TCU. The Horned Frogs are 17-8. They have played teams tough this year. They have a win over Oklahoma. They have a win over ranked Iowa State. They beat LSU. The last couple of weeks, though, they've kind of fallen off a bit. They've lost 4 of their last 6, I believe. Yeah, 4 of the last 6, including the loss to Kansas State. But they have a tough stretch. They have Texas Tech, back-to-back games against Kansas and West Virginia to end the year. So this is the time they need to come up strong and pick up some wins, especially with those road games against Kansas and Texas. If they can get some of those wins, I think you got to sneak TCU in there.
Yeah.
And then this one pains me to say, but I got to say it, North Carolina. I think they're 20-8 yet, but they haven't really beaten anybody. But I think you got to put them in because a 21 teams. You have to argue for a 21 team a lot.
Yeah. And
they have NC State, Syracuse, and Duke left. That's only one really good game left. They did beat Michigan. But Michigan, is kind of falling apart. I mean, look at Jawan Howard this past
yeah. We didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah. But no, North Carolina doesn't have any good wins, I don't think. But I think it's one of those where you got to put them in, and if they make a run to ACC tournament, this doesn't matter, I don't think. But I mean, they shouldn't get higher than. I don't think they should get higher than a 10 seed for sure. But I think that's one of those teams you've got to look at and you got to put in. And then finally, this one I think you got to put in BYU. And BYU is actually actively looking. They are looking to schedule a non-conference game this late in the year for some reason because they're trying to build up their resume. They're 19-9. Is BYU? They have a win over Oregon, who was ranked. They beat Utah State, who's a good team. They beat Liberty, who's probably going to win the A-Sun. The problem is they had a 4-game stretch of losses, including to Gonzaga, they lost 90-57, and then they lost to San Francisco, who's another good team in that West Coast Conference. Who's another team that probably you could argue for getting in, and then they lost to St. Mary's too. So they got to pick up some wins. They have LMU next, so they need to get that win, and then they have Pepperdine, and then they have to make a run to the West Coast tournament. And they got to upset some teams like San Francisco, like St. Mary's, make it to the championship at least. But yeah. BYU, I think you can make an argument for, but San Francisco is another one I would make an argument for sure too. Good.
All right, 4 for me that I think should definitely be in. One of mine was going to be Virginia, obviously, if they have to close out strong. And, I think they do have to make a little bit of a run in the ACC tournament. But if they do that, they should be in. I want to say Notre Dame, too, as well, which is hard to put them as a bubble team because they are sitting second in the ACC right now. But Notre Dame, they've got a win over Kentucky, and they are only one game back at Duke. So I think that they should be in 100% because they'll get to 20 wins before the season's over, and they should have a pretty good run in the ACC tournament. So I would expect Notre Dame to get in.
Yeah.
Another one I want to talk about is Belmont out of the what are they in the Missouri Valley? Oh no, Ohio Valley Conference. They're behind Murray State, who Murray State, where John Morant's from, kind of put them on the map, and they're really good. If Murray State ends up winning that conference, then obviously it's very hard for Belmont because the mid majors with the automatic bids. But Belmont's 24-5. They're 14-2 in the OVC, and they've won 10 in a row right now. And they shoot their freaking 5th nationally in field goal percentage. These boys out of Nashville can shoot the lights out. If they, make a great run and they make it to their conference championship game and they play Murray State close in the conference championship game and they lose, I say they should get in.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my best one. I feel like this is a team that's so under the radar. I haven't heard anything about this team this year. But look, their resume, I think they're playing their best basketball at the best time. And that team is Marquette.
Oh, yeah.
Marquette is 17-10 right now. So, it could be better. 10 losses is a lot, but they beat Illinois at the beginning of the year by 1. They did lose to a ranked St. Bonaventure. They lost to a ranked Wisconsin, and then they did go through a lull. Mm-hmm. They lost to UCLA, Xavier, Connecticut, and Creighton. Creighton, another team kind of on bubble watch as well.
Yeah.
But they're starting to play their best basketball, and they have wins over a ranked Providence by 32.
Yeah.
They smacked Georgetown. They beat DePaul. They beat a ranked Seton Hall. They beat a ranked Villanova by 3. They beat ranked Xavier. They beat Seton Hall again.
They've swept Villanova.
Did drop one to Providence, beat Villanova for the sweep by 10. Now they have lost to Connecticut, and Butler got a win over Georgetown, lost to Creighton. But this team, I think they started to play some of their best basketball, and they've shown that they can hang with those ranked teams, which the Big East is a lot. There's a lot going on in the Big East. I feel like we could talk about a lot of these teams, but I feel like the majority of them will get in. But to make a case for Marquette, I think that if they finish out strong and they, make a little bit of a run in that Big East tournament, I think that they should definitely get in as well. Which you could probably say the same thing about Seton Hall. Mm-hmm. They're sitting at 16-9 and a game and a half behind Marquette in the conference standings right now. But those top teams like Providence, Villanova, you would expect them to both get in. UConn's ranked right now, probably get into. Creighton is a bubble team. But I would think Marquette would get into.
Yeah, for sure. That Big East is just stacked. That's a tough conference to play in, for sure. So now 4 teams on the bubble that probably should not get in, and I'll start with, and looking at the A10, I think St. Bonaventure should not. And mostly because they had a whole lot of hype coming into the year. Mm-hmm. They started off to live up the hype. They beat Marquette, they beat Clemson, beat Boise to win that Charleston Classic tournament. They go and lose to fellow mid-major Northern Iowa, so that's like, okay, whatever. They lose to UConn, well, that's fine. But then they get smacked by Virginia Tech. And then since then, they've just been kind of middle of the road in the A10. They lost to Davidson, who's the top of the conference. They lost to Richmond. Now, they have won 5 straight, which includes 2 wins over St. Louis, who's right behind them in the standings.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those where St. Bonaventure started off the year with so much hype, but they just have not really lived up to it. They're 17-7 now. They could make a run in this A10 tournament. The A10, the top 4 or 5 of that A10 is pretty stacked with teams with Davidson, VCU, Dayton, St. Bonaventure, and St. Louis. But it's going to take – I think it's going to take a run for sure. They close out with the bottom half of the conference, really, except for VCU. They have 1 game against VCU on the road. at the end of the year. But if they can close out strong, St. Bonaventure might get in. But, man, right now it's going to be very tough to look at St. Bonaventure and even North Carolina, just pick out which one could get in. I think another team, Memphis. I don't think Memphis should get in.
No.
It's too little too late for me.
Yeah.
Like another team started off all the hype, 12th in the country, and they did well. They won their first 5 games. Lose to Iowa State. They lost to Georgia, who is garbage.
Yeah, Georgia's awful.
Yeah. Lost to Ole Miss, lost to Murray State. They beat Alabama, which at the time looked like a great win. They didn't need to play Tennessee because of a COVID issue with the Vols. But then they go to Tulane, who's pretty good, and also another team who might be on that bubble watch too. They're 12-11. If they can make a run, Tulane will be talked about more, but lose to them, and then just have 3 game stretch losing to UCF, ECU, and SMU. SMU is the only one of those teams that's actually pretty good in that stretch, and they just lost to SMU again the other day. So I think it's just too little, too late for Memphis. They did beat Houston on the road. But I think you got to look at the whole body of work. And I get, like I said with Virginia, you look at the super early in the season, kind of ignore that. But you got to look at the whole body. And I think, Memphis is kind of like every college student late on an exam just cramming for an assignment. Very good. Trying to get in when they have no business doing so, getting in. And, I think that's going to leave the Tigers out, and you gotta ask some questions if you're Memphis about Penny Hardaway.
Yeah,
he's a guy that you brought in to be to lead your team, kind of like what you see with Patrick Ewing over at Georgetown. And you gotta kind of ask those questions, I think.
Yeah.
Another one that this one's kind of hard to pick, but I did kind of like North Carolina too. They just don't have a good win. That's Michigan State.
I was thinking that one too. That was one of mine.
Yeah, they beat UConn earlier in the year by 4. They beat Wisconsin on the road, but Wisconsin's kind of fallen a bit late in the year. But they lost to Penn State, who's not very good. They lost to Northwestern, who's not very good.
Yeah.
This Michigan State, and I hate it because I like Tom Izzo a lot. But no, they've just kind of slid a bit, and again, they also play a tough conference. I think the Big Ten's a tough conference.
Yeah, Big Ten's stacked for basketball, but it's kind of, to me, I'll just chime in on that one since that was one of mine as well. It's those teams, Michigan State, Michigan, and Iowa are all kind of on the cusp. Like I feel like one will definitely get in. 2, you're pushing it. All 3 of them aren't getting in.
Well, right now, sorry, Michigan State's down by 30 to Iowa right now. So
that's
not anything.
You look at those 3 teams' records against ranked opponents. I mean, Michigan State's 2-5, Michigan's 1-5, Iowa's 1-4. So they're not really helping themselves. But
that's not good. That's not good at all, for sure. And then another team, San Diego State. They're 17-6 in the Mountain West. They are 3rd in the Mountain West, but again, I don't think they have the good win. They have the win over Colorado State by 30 on the road, but then at home, but they lost to them on the road. And lost to Michigan, lost to USC, lost to BYU. Did beat Arizona State, who's a pretty good team. But now they have chances for these wins at the end of the year because they have Boise State and Wyoming, who are toward the top of the conference, who are top 2 teams in the conference left. And then, of course, conference tournament, they can make a run for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, San Diego State is just one of those teams they're on the cusp because, again, one really good win over Colorado State, who has kind of slipped a little bit after a good start to the year. And also, they scored only 37 points against Boise State earlier in the year. Now, granted, they lost 42-37, but you can't do that against those big-time games. You can't just not show up. So I think that's a team. Mountain West is also a stacked conference. We talked about that a little bit last week. But, that's I think I don't think the Mountain West is getting 4 teams in.
Yeah.
And I think, the 3 they're going to let in are going to be Boise, Wyoming, Colorado State right now. And I think San Diego State's that team that's going to get left out.
I'll start off with Ohio. Ohio in the MAC. They are 23-5. They're 14-3 in the conference. Tied at the top of the standings with Toledo. But Toledo has a tiebreaker because they did sweep Ohio. Ohio, they're going to have to win the conference tournament to get in. They lost to Kentucky by 18. They lost to LSU by 15 during the season as well, and then they've lost twice to Toledo, so they're going to have to win the tournament to get in. But they do have a win over Belmont at the beginning of the year, so if Belmont gets in, I feel like you take that into consideration as well. But I would say Ohio's definitely not getting in. Also, what was I saying? Who was it? VCU. I don't think VCU gets in. I do not think that they're going to get in. I think it's just a product of circumstance with Davidson being so far out in front, out in front of them in the conference. Anything can happen, and they have a win over Syracuse. They played Baylor in Connecticut close.
They did split with Davidson, so
yeah. But I would say just that they do not get in. Shoot, I had one more, Richard. Give me 1 second. I can't remember which one it was. I had Michigan State. That was my other one. Michigan State. Like I said, I just don't think out of those three teams, only one's going to get in, and I don't think Michigan State's going to get in.
Yeah, I would also say Michigan. I really don't think should get in. This is not a Jawan Howard thing. I mean, regardless of that they have not beaten anybody in a while.
Right.
Speaking of that, let's just talk about that. I woke up from a nap because I was just dead tired after this weekend, and you texted me and said, "Did you see what Jawan Howard did?" And I was like, "No, not really." And then I get on Twitter, and all I see is, first of all, people need to learn what a punch is. That was an open-handed slap to the dome.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
That was not a punch. I don't. Yeah, that's the only thing I was like, okay. Because when I saw a punch, I was like, oh man, Jawan Howard out here swinging.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, he just smacked him beside the head. Well, that's not good either, but
no, it's not. But
yeah, I think, and of course, there's been alternate views. If you don't know, Wisconsin was getting pressed at the end. The game's been decided. And they called a timeout, and Jawan Howard wasn't happy about that. And he apparently had yelled at Greg Gard, the coach of Wisconsin, during the game about it. And Greg went to go talk to him, and Greg put his hands on him, grabbed him, put his hands on him, and they started yelling at each other. And somebody said something. Jawan Howard swung, smacked an assistant inside the head. Everybody goes crazy. Remember, Jawan Howard almost fought Mark Turgeon last year in the Big Ten tournament. People forget about that. And the joke is, of course, this is not the first time Jawan Howard's been mad about timeout. See the Final Four.
The whole thing about his history with timeouts did make me laugh very hard on Sunday. So that was good.
But I think it's one of those, it's the F around and find out from Wisconsin. It's part of it. And then, it's just not good. And everybody has bad days as a coach, and I get that. But you can't let anything get to you like that. And it's not great. And Jawan Howard's been suspended the rest of the regular season. Is there a path where they could play Wisconsin in a tournament game?
I don't know.
And it would take a while because I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah, I would love to see that because they close the season. Of course, it's not going to be there for these Rutgers, Illinois, Michigan State, Iowa, Ohio State. This is Michigan, so no, it's going to be interesting to see. Neither coach really apologized either for it. So that's just kind of wild to see that happen. But my take on the whole thing is just I think there's fault on both sides. Yeah.
Obviously, just Jawan Howard should have never. Excuse me. My God, my throat. Jawan Howard should have never, reacted the way he did.
Right.
But at the same time, like I understand it. Like I've seen it, happen before with when I was at Lander and like with people calling timeouts late, like when the game's decided, like it is annoying and it's stupid and they do it for different reasons. Like it would have been different had, Greg Gard called that timeout and then like visibly like just, fired his team up or just like screamed, like, let's go or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, because they knew the game's over and like showboated. Like it would have been different if it had been that. But I do think Greg Gard was being sincere and telling the truth about, why he did it. And from a coach's perspective, I get that. Like you got your kids out there and they're about, I know it doesn't matter, but I mean, some coaches just coach and that's just how it is. The game was over and he called the timeout to help, help them get the ball across because it resets to 10 seconds and they were about to get, 10-second violation. So but I feel like there's fault on both sides. Juwan Howard shouldn't have acted like he did, but when Greg Gard like came back and put his hands on him and, they started just kind of going, back and forth, like there was, fault on both sides. Greg Gard moseyed himself out of the picture though. And then Juwan Howard threw the open hand at an assistant or whatever. You can't do that when you are the authoritative figure on the team. You can't do that for the sake of one, yourself, and two, how is your team going to react? And like, you gotta, the age old thing that people say that it's such an adult thing, but like, what are the kids going to think? What kind of example are you setting? But I mean, it's true. Like it really is true. Like there's a certain time while that's funny. And like, kids want to act how they want to act. When you get to that certain point, like you have to act a certain way. Like you can't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't let that get to you because everybody, especially these days with the internet, it's going to eat him alive. And Juwan Howard's probably going to be known for that for the rest of his life. So
right. So that's what's going on in men's college basketball. We'll look at through some of the big games this week. I'm going to start on Thursday. This one on ESPNU. South Carolina Upstate and Winthrop play each other on ESPNU. Upstate has been a turnaround, and I believe can clinch the 3 seed in the conference if they upset Winthrop, who has already clinched the South Division championship. But if you're looking to lock in that 2 seed, of course, Upstate has to pass by Gardner-Webb. They did knock off Gardner-Webb twice this year, so that's a big-time game in the Palmetto State for sure on Thursday. Hopefully, Winthrop's had a problem with fans not showing up to their arena. That's why Pat Kelsey, their coach, left to go to the College of Charleston. College of Charleston hasn't been great this year, and they've still sold out their arena most of the time with student section. So it's just one of those things where it's the debate of why can't Winthrop get fans to show up? So that's just crazy. Also on ESPNU, we just talked about them, Belmont takes on Murray State. Thursday night at 9:00. That's going to be a big time game.
Oh yeah,
for sure in Murray, Kentucky. Also that night, Illinois plays Ohio State at 9:00, and then San Francisco and Gonzaga at 9. San Francisco as a team that looking to move their way up in the West Coast Conference standings and possibly try to steal a bid from somebody if they can kind of get some upsets, especially over the big dog Gonzaga in their conference.
Mm-hmm.
Been at the top of that every year, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed this. I'm such an idiot, and I watched this game the other night. Oregon plays UCLA. Did you talk about that one?
I don't think so.
Okay, whatever. Oregon plays UCLA. They host them at 9:30 Thursday night. So. But I watched Oregon, bring Arizona to the brink over the weekend. It was a very good basketball game. Oregon's another team. They're 17-10, could be on that bubble watch. So they almost had it go their way against Arizona, but it'd be interesting to see them at home against their ranked UCLA team, see if they can knock them off. That would definitely help their case.
Yeah, for sure. Moving to Saturday, I think a big game, Kentucky and Arkansas on CBS. That's a big-time game for the Hogs to kind of make their statement name. I say Kentucky's one of the best teams in the country right now, but Arkansas starting to make more of a case, and they're knocking off Auburn and Tennessee now.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas looking really good. Because I love Payne, Clemson goes to Boston College. I love pain. I'm ready to get hurt again.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Auburn and Tennessee play each other on Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. This one, last year would have been a lot of fun. This year, it's on CBS, and I don't know why. UCLA and Oregon State are playing each other. And Oregon State, remember last year, that Elite Eight run where they won the Pac-12 tournament?
They're so bad.
They won 3 games.
They're so bad. Tickets as low as $5. Get them while they're hot.
National TV, nowhere to hide for the Beavers now. So have fun with that one.
Yuck.
For sure. Duke goes to Syracuse at 6 o'clock. It's always a big game up in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah.
I feel like last meeting between Jim Boeheim and Coach K, which is crazy to think about, how long those guys have been at their schools. And, of course, round of the day, you have Arizona, Colorado. I think Colorado's another one of those teams on the bubble, too, that you could make a case for with the Buffs. And then also Kansas at Baylor. Kansas put the smackdown on the Bears the first time.
Yeah.
So interesting to see how they react. And then St. Mary's and Gonzaga in the late night game. Gonzaga's got 2 tough road tests in San Francisco and St. Mary's. So if you're the number 1 team in the mid-major, you're going to get tested every game. But for sure this week with the Zags.
Yeah. I'll mention South Carolina at Alabama as well. Like you've mentioned before, Alabama's, kind of weird. They, they beat teams they're not supposed to, but they lose the teams they are supposed to beat. So, and South Carolina has been playing better. South Carolina really has last couple games looked probably the best they have all season. They beat Georgia, and they had the game winner half court shot against Ole Miss, and then they just beat a pretty sound LSU team this weekend at home. And I got to watch most of that game. It was really nice. But Carolina's been playing pretty good. If they can, keep it going, they play Mississippi State Wednesday. So the day before this comes out, they can win that, and then they can go at Alabama and get a win there. Then they come back from Missouri. And then now they end at Auburn, which is, most likely going to be an L. But if they can do that, and they can they obviously have to make a really deep tournament run. Yeah. I don't think South Carolina's going to make the tournament, but they are playing pretty well at the right time.
At least NIT, maybe.
Yeah.
A good run here, which is, again, how the way the season has looked at times. Big for them, for sure.
Yeah.
I also just want to mention this. At midnight, you can see Long Beach State and UC Irvine on ESPNU on Saturday. The only thing I remember about these is both of those teams at one point had really good jerseys because Long Beach State had the beach on theirs, and when they made the tournament a few years ago and had some upsets, and then UC Irvine made a tournament a few years ago, almost got upset. They just said Eaters on it because of the Anteaters, which is still the greatest mascot of all time.
It is a good one.
And it's a solid one, and so just watch the Eaters and I just love Long Beach State baseball. Their mascot is the Dirtbags for baseball.
Yeah,
I just love that. Just call them a bunch of dirtbags. It's so great.
Me too.
All right, it's great. So that will do it for men's basketball. Moving to the women's, a big game for South Carolina women with college game day in the house on Sunday against Tennessee in a big game. And man, I don't know who's beating the South Carolina team because they rolled over Tennessee 67-53, and I saw the stat. I can't remember. Have they beaten what? Is it like 12 top 25 teams or something like that this year?
Yes.
Something crazy? Yeah, it's insane. Like, just insanity. They held Tennessee to 10% from the 3-point arc.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 59 rebounds to South Carolina in this one. It was sold out on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a women's college basketball game, like, it's just wild to think about that, too, in some cases. But, man, South Carolina does this every game. They sell out the stadium. And college game day there, it's just wild to see that. But, yeah, I don't know who's beating South Carolina this year.
I honestly don't either. Carolina's played really well. Obviously, they do have the one blemish, the overtime loss at Missouri.
Yeah.
Who is an okay team. They're 17-10. So, I mean, obviously, anybody can lose on any given day. But South Carolina has been playing remarkably well, continuing their streak with now, I think, 12 ranked wins this year. They're going to round out the season Thursday night. They're playing at A&M at 8:30 on SC Network, and then they'll play at Mississippi Ole Miss before they do the tournament. But yeah, South Carolina played so good against Tennessee on Sunday, and it's just a credit to Dawn Staley. Like, it's so crazy to me how ever since she has come to South Carolina and how good they have, made things, obviously culminating that with the national title in 2017. And they've won, I think 4 or 5 straight SEC regular season tournaments. And just the people, like, it's so crazy in the South Carolina, heart of the Southeast United States. Women's basketball sells out, but the men's team cannot.
Yeah.
Even in cases where the women's team is better than the men's team, that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so crazy, just how that everybody's bought in and everybody loves Dawn Staley so much and how good she has made South Carolina, and they are freaking great.
Yeah, like they should. I keep saying all the time when I said when Will Muschamp was coach, Will Muschamp shouldn't make more than Dawn Staley.
Yeah,
Dawn Staley has gotten stuff done, and I think there's a lot of coaches who would sit there and say Dawn Staley should make the most money of anybody on this campus, and just what she's done. I mean, Asia Wilson's got a statue of herself outside CLA, and that's wild to think about a women's basketball player who's only been out for what? She's third year in the WNBA, fourth year maybe.
Yeah, third or fourth.
Yeah, it already has a statue. That's usually reserved for like 10 years, 20 years down the road. They already put the statue up. So good for South Carolina to invest in that, and it has been big dividends for them for sure. A final score, Waff. Western Carolina did sneak by Emory and Henry, 42-39. What a game!
Oh man, what a terrible game!
Yeah, we were watching that for a lot. Emory and Henry is in transition from NAIA to or D3 to D2. They're going to SAC next year, and they almost be a D1 team tonight. Bad a D1 team. Let's just say that for sure. So, looking at games this week in women's basketball, big game on Thursday. I think Florida Gulf Coast at Liberty. Florida Gulf Coast, they're number 24 in the country. They're always a really good team. Liberty has a pretty good team usually every year. Iowa goes to Rutgers, and Rutgers has been known to upset some people in women's basketball for sure. And then BYU is going to Santa Clara. That could be a dangerous road test for the Cougs. Then on Friday, this is a really good game on Friday. Maryland and Indiana play each other on a Big Ten matchup in College Park. Maryland being really good at women's basketball, I feel like it hasn't happened in a while. It's nice to see that, I'll say.
Yeah, it is.
And then on Sunday, of course, we have the big games. Louisville and Notre Dame meet in a rematch. They played earlier in the year. I feel like they played very recently. They played a few days ago, and Louisville rolled 73-47. We'll have to see what Notre Dame will do in the rematch here, as those two teams are in their second and third in the ACC right now. So that's going to be a big matchup. My computer just froze. That's great. Okay, good. Continuing on Sunday, like I said, South Carolina Ole Miss. South Carolina's going to get everybody's best shot for sure. LSU and Tennessee. LSU in top 10. First time in a long time, too. So LSU turning it around for sure. Michigan goes to Iowa. Caitlin Clark, again, one of the craziest things to watch is just watch her play. She just pulls up from anywhere and will shoot it. She needs to get some help, though, because Iowa's lost some games that they probably shouldn't have. And then North Carolina and Duke will play each other again, rivalry contest, and this time in Chapel Hill. And then NC State goes to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech put the absolute smackdown on Syracuse the other day. So this is a 102-53. Virginia Tech won. They just lost to Louisville by 14, but this is still, I think, a very good Virginia Tech team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there in this one.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to do it for college basketball. Before we move on to NBA, I just want to say, well, the USFL draft is going on.
Yeah.
And they had their first round. They had quarterbacks. And I'm just going to The first overall pick, it was the Michigan Panthers, who are coached by Jeff Fisher. And their number 1 pick was Shea Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
From Michigan. The boy is coming home. And that's electric. The second pick, I think I forgot about this guy, and I forgot how awesome this guy was to watch. The Tampa Bay Bandits selected Jordan Ta'amu from Ole Miss. My man was just slinging the ball around.
Yeah, man. He was a heck of a lot. He was a heck of a good time to watch him. Think about that. Him, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, all on the same team. They have nothing to show for it except crazy offensive numbers.
Yep.
And Todd Ellis just Jordan Ta'amu. Like Tamu. That's not his name. Todd. It's ridiculous. And that game, Carolina, it was like 52-48. South Carolina beat that Ole Miss team with Jordan Ta'amu and AJ Brown and all them boys.
Yeah, that game was insane. I remember I was at a Clemson game that weekend.
Yeah.
And they kept showing score updates. And I think everybody in the stadium, because Clemson was blowing out whenever they were playing, I think everybody in the stadium had their phones on just watching the South Carolina games. It was so crazy.
Well, I was in Columbia, not like at the game. I think it was at Ole Miss, but
yeah,
I was in Columbia, and as I was driving back, I just happened to listen on the radio, and they had like Todd's best calls, and he's just Tamu, and I'm just like, that's not his name, Todd.
Oh man, another quarterback drafted, this one by the Houston Gamblers, was Clayton Forsen, former Northwestern quarterback.
Yeah.
He was actually pretty good in Northwestern. He was on those weird Pat Fitzgerald teams that were really good for like 2 years.
Yeah.
That was the quarterback. Then you have Kyle Laletta, who was at Richmond, going to the Pittsburgh Maulers. He played for the Giants at one point.
Nice.
You have him. He played for the Eagles, Falcons, Browns, Jaguars, and Giants. So he's moved around a lot, but now moving on. But the first round was all quarterbacks, and they did it by position, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Looking around, Mekhi Brown from Alabama. Don't remember him. He was a defensive lineman going to Tampa Bay. Round 3 was also edge and defensive end. Guy from North Greenville, Chauncey Haney. He's going to the Birmingham Stallions, and he had 3 blocked kicks in 2018, which led Division II football. So
nice.
It's really good to see that. Round 4 also edge and DN. Not a whole lot of guys that I know. Round 5. Oh, round 5. I don't remember this guy's name. He's from South Carolina, going to the Philadelphia Stars. Blake Allen Camper.
Wait, he's from South Carolina?
Yeah.
I got no idea. Who did he go to? The Stars?
Yeah, he played in 40 games in 4 seasons, what they say. So he must have been like a special teams guy or something. Blake Allen Camper. I'm like, I know that name.
Yeah, bro. I don't even know. Like, I know. I don't know.
Yeah. Now they get into offensive tackles, so you're probably not going to know them. But yeah, the draft's ending up, and they're going to have cornerbacks too. So, it'll be interesting to see another spring league. What will happen here? Hopefully, it doesn't die like the AAF did, an unfortunate death. Already XFL 2, which XFL 3. I don't know if you saw Waffle. It's basically going to be a minor league. They've said for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They've already partnered with the NFL. You kind of have to think that when you have The Rock show up on the Super Bowl, who is the owner of the XFL, and they're going to use like developmental stuff, like all the new rules changes, all that. They're going to use in the XFL before the NFL. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what happens there. But we'll move on. NBA All-Star Weekend was this weekend. I watched nothing from Saturday night. I was busy. I think I watched the 3-point shootout for a little bit, and then saw Desmond Bain got eliminated, and I was like, all right, I'm done. So,
all right. Well, let me be the first to tell you that the dunk contest was absolutely awful.
That's what I heard.
Has to be the worst one that I've ever watched in my life. It was so bad. It was so terrible. It's nothing. There was nothing exciting about it, and the reasoning for that is because nobody made their first dunk. I don't think there was a first dunk made all night. And we know that absolutely ruins it. And that should ruin their score. Nobody got a 50. Has there ever been a dunk contest where at least somebody did? I think at least one person got a 50. At least one time. There was nothing in this. And Cole Anthony came out, tried to dunk a couple times in some Timbs, in some Timberland boots. It didn't go well for him. He dunked like the third time, and then he just kind of dipped out. Like, I mean, it was awful. It was so bad. I'm trying to find. I just had them where. Okay, the scores, like, it was so. Obi Toppin ended up winning it.
Yeah,
he was definitely the most consistent. He had a 44, a 46, a 45, and a 47. But like, it takes away from the whole thing when you can't have even one dunk be made on the first attempt.
Right.
And I have nothing against the format that they use. I like the format that they use, and they give them, like 3 attempts. Like, but an attempt has to be, like a downward motion on the rim. Like, if you fumble it as you're going through your legs, it's not an attempt, which is whatever. Which is kind of how Cole Anthony and a lot of these guys got like 8 attempts. Like, it's ridiculous. But it sucked. It was so bad. I was not engaged. And all I could think about is just Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon. We are never going to see another dunk contest that good. 2016. We are never going to see it.
All I remember about that is, and you talk about the first dunk, Zach LaVine came out to the Space Jam thing.
Yeah.
With the Quad City DJs singing it.
Yeah.
In the Toon Squad jersey. Hit his first dunk. That's how you start a dunk contest.
Yes.
You have the
Aaron Gordon has my favorite dunk of all time. This is the absolute best dunk that I've ever seen with my 2 eyeballs. The one where he jumps over the Magic's mascot.
Oh yeah, on the
who's spinning the thing, and he puts the ball under both his legs. He's above the mascot, who's on a hoverboard in a seated position, like he's sitting on the floor, passing a ball under his legs, and he jams it. That is the most impressive dunk I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
that's better than the free throw line, Jordan. That's better than anything Zach LaVine did. And Aaron Gordon still couldn't win the competition. That's how good it was.
Yeah. All I remember about that is I watched it at Gardner Webb in one of my friend's dorms rooms. We were going insane. And I remember when they showed the replay where he literally sat on the ball. I think Ernie Johnson was calling it. He went insane.
Wow.
With it. Him and Reggie Miller both went insane. And I was like, this is the greatest dunk contest I've ever seen. And
it's so good.
We will never get that again. You're right.
No, we won't. Like, nothing will ever live up to that. Zach LaVine doing, he called, like, somebody throw the ball to him, and he did a free throw line dunk. And then this mug, a free throw windmill, might I add.
Yeah.
And then he comes back out there and he goes free throw line between the legs. Like, nobody's ever going to do it better than them two.
Yep.
And now, because of Dwayne Wade, Aaron Gordon's not ever going to compete in it again. So the dunk contest is ruined.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate it so bad.
John Morant's already said he's not going to do it, which is disappointing. But
right. And I get it. I completely get it. Like, obviously, we would like to see all the big name stars. Everybody would be foaming at the mouth for a freaking like LeBron James, John Morant type dunk contest. You're just not going to see it.
No. Yeah, that kind of died out whenever like Dwight Howard, I think, was the last, and Blake Griffin, I think, were the last big time stars to come out.
Yeah, Dwight, Blake Griffin, Nate Robinson is one of the most dunk contests I think of all. Is that right? I think he's one of the most, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's going to live up. Vince Carter, even Michael Jordan, Dominic Wilkins back in the day. Like, nothing will ever live up to that. It sucks. I hate it. But.
Yeah, this is disappointing for that for sure. But the actual All-Star game, I get to watch some of that. That was really fun, as usual. Ja Morant made himself known. If you didn't know who he was, now you do.
Right.
But also Steph Curry. Good Lord, Steph Curry getting booed out the building because they're
boy.
nailed 16 3-pointers, including one from half court, whereas the ball is literally nowhere near the rim. He turns and starts running up the court, and it goes in.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he's the only one I can sit there and go, yeah, you can do that. Like, people want to doubt the Warriors for the past few years because they haven't been as good. This year, they're second in the West. But y'all, Steph Curry is so good. He is the best shooter in all of NBA basketball.
Yes, the best shooter of all time.
Like, he passed Ray Allen in like half of Ray Allen's career. He passed that.
Yeah.
And he is the greatest shooter of all time. You can say whatever you want about him, whatever. You can say whatever you want about the Warriors. You can say whatever you want about those title runs they had. But there's no denying he's the greatest shooter of all time. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild to think that he came from David's too. Like, a whole bunch of schools swung and missed on him. Like, That's wild to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, All-Star game was a lot of fun. Team LeBron wins. LeBron's now 5-0 in All-Star games where he's the captain.
Yeah, and is that not crazy?
This is one of the most wild stats ever. So
it seems like another meaningless stat for Bron sexuals, quote, add to their repertoire. So while LeBron's the greatest of all time, and I'm not getting into that argument because I'm quite frankly sick of that argument. I think that him and Michael Jordan are both fantastic and they both are the greatest of all time. But that just feels like another meaningless stat that they'll bring up. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, although impressive and quite a coincidence, but
yeah. It was also fun to see Trae Young just throwing lobs to John Morant. I mean, that's just fun. There's a way to put Trae Young on the Grizzlies, and if we do that, we have a whole lot of fun too.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's always a fun All-Star game. Giannis had a good night too. I think he had the most points. Yeah. Well, Joel Embiid at 36.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. So
I hate that Curry didn't break the All-Star game scoring record. Not for lack of trying. He had so many opportunities that he couldn't get one to fall. But there was one. Gosh, I can't remember the play, but there was like one on their maybe second to third to last possession where Curry got one and just like made a little move. LeBron got it, quick dished it back to Curry, and it would have been just so freaking pretty if he just drained that thing.
Yeah.
He missed it. And then LeBron finally just said, all right, I'm getting out of here. I want the money, and hit that fadeaway because, of course, he did.
Yeah. And it was kind of just a nonchalant fadeaway, and it's like, that's a hard shot to make.
Yeah.
It's kind of drained it. So this is not what I clicked on. Sorry.
I think we do need to mention as well, 3-point contest on Saturday night. Karl Anthony Towns took it home.
29 points.
I don't think was anybody's pick.
Yeah.
Props to him, though.
Yeah.
He scored freaking 29 in the final round. That's great. But Luke Kennard had a good night. Old Duke boy. He had the most points. He had 28 in the first round. Well, the most points in the first round. He had 28. But
Karl Anthony Towns, third big man to win it. Dirk Nowitzki and Luka Doncic are the other two. So it's kind of weird to see how the game's changed where you see more big men take threes too. So it's like Dirk was like a special type of case.
Right.
When he did it. Now it's just like, Luke was going to pull up. Cat can pull up. It's weird. So we'll look at NBA standings. I kind of want to just look at this. I kind of want to look at, we talk about top 3 most surprising, most disappointing in college, and we'll kind of do that real quick. I'm going to pick just 3 surprising teams. I think number 1, I think Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
The DeMar DeRozan, everybody kind of clowned him for going there to Chicago or that trade where he ended up there, and DeMar DeRozan may be up for MVP. I think he could outwork you.
He's playing great ball.
Yeah, and Chicago tied for first in the East right now at the All-Star break. I think another team, the Toronto Raptors, they're 7th. They're still in it. I think the Raptors, everybody thought they kind of go away after kind of losing that core after a while, but DeRozan, but they're still in it and only a couple of games back. And then I think the Charlotte Hornets, too. I'm picking all Eastern Conference teams really because you can argue the Memphis Grizzlies too, of course, because they're third. And I don't think anybody expected them to be that good. But I'm going to pick Charlotte because Charlotte's just kind of a team that's kind of been just at the bottom for most of their existence since coming back as the Bobcats, of course. But LaMelo Ball's got them in the playoffs right now in that play-in game, but still giving them at least a chance for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going all Eastern Conference, there's been 3 big surprises in that conference, and of course, you can say Memphis Grizzlies too, because I don't think a whole lot of people have them being 41-19 at this point in the season.
Yeah. I'll go with Memphis. Just saying Memphis being 41-19 in the 3rd spot, playing fantastic basketball. The young duo, might I add, of John Morant, Desmond Bane, and then you throw in JJJ, Jaren Jackson Jr.
And Steve Adams has come out.
Yeah, Steve Adams in his first year in Memphis has played really well. So Memphis definitely exceeding expectations. I don't think anybody expected them to be like that. I'm going to go Bulls. Obviously, Bulls, yeah, it's great what they've done with DeRozan and Levine as a superstar. I'm going to go Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland at 35-23 with Darius Garland making his first All-Star game, and also Jarrett Allen from the Cavs making the All-Star game. This team, and they have Karis LeVert as well. Still got Kevin Love bouncing around out there. Laurie Markkinen. Yeah, and they got Rondo. But this team, definitely coached by JB Bickerstaff, who used to be Grizzlies coach. Definitely doing a good job there. But my number one is Golden State.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know the star power they have. We know Splash Bros, Curry, Thompson. We know Draymond Green's still there, and how important all those guys have been to their, dynasty. But, they had a couple years where they fell off. Curry hurt, Clay hurt for extended time. But I think the Golden State's the most surprising team because of one guy and one guy only, and that's Andrew freaking Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins made the All-Star game. Are you kidding me? This guy was unbelievable at Kansas, and then came into the league and just, I think he won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
But he just fell off, and obviously he did not live up to the hype. But now he has gone out there and had a career resurgence. He's playing his best basketball. Now they're fully healthy. Clay's back, Steph, doing his thing. Draymond Green's still out there, mouth agape on every play. And, they got some young guys like Jordan Poole playing really well as well. So, Golden State for me. And they're still sitting at the 2nd seed. They just kind of picked off right where they left off a couple years ago. So,
yeah. I'm also going Minnesota Timberwolves, number 7 seed right now in that play-in roster. Starting to finally gel. They got Patrick Beverly, who's just a wild card every year, I feel like. But, Karl-Anthony Towns, for all he's been through, they finally have a consistent season. Taurean Prince, Anthony Edwards, all those guys, and these are guys that back when Flip Saunders was coach in his last few years, said he thought could be really good. They finally, I think, have gotten that. So that's cool to see for the Timberwolves finally hopefully get back to relevance, because they were the team that when I first started watching NBA that I liked, because of Kevin Garnett and Sam Cassell and all them. But it's kind of cool to see. Hopefully the Timberwolves can get back to some relevancy in the NBA. Looking at disappointing teams, your top 2, I think, are the Brooklyn Nets and the LA Lakers for sure.
100%.
The Nets, they made those trades, got Harden, and they're in the 8th seed right now. But man, they went a month without winning, lost 10 straight games or something like that.
Yeah.
They have been just so disappointing. And then, of course, they got rid of Harden, after things going down there. Kyrie Irving can't play half the games at home, so there's that going on. Yeah. It's just a mess in Brooklyn right now. And, luckily they're in a division where it's horrible, so they have a chance to win it, but just them, Boston, really. So they have a chance because of that. But it's just this one. And the Lakers, of course, you put together, again, somebody said, they put together the 2013 All-Star team.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're still expecting, Anthony Davis just hasn't done a whole lot. Russell Westbrook has been horrible at times. Malik Monk hasn't done anything for you. Wayne Ellington hasn't really done anything for you. Talon Horton Tucker's been only consistency, I think, on this team. And, of course, you got rid of Alex Caruso, who has been thriving in Chicago.
Oh, God.
It's like at Cleveland or like some of those is I would say like Cleveland, where LeBron's having to carry this team.
Yeah.
And it's just a struggle. And, you're on the border. Yeah, the Spurs have still got to get their act together, but you're on the border of not making the playoffs. And if LeBron gets hurt for a period of time,
yeah,
I don't think the Lakers make the playoffs because
they're screwed.
I don't think Tyler Horton Tucker and Russell Westbrook are going to carry you to the playoffs. And then I think the other most disappointing team, I'll just say the New York Knicks. I know they're hurt, but the Knicks made the playoffs last year. Everybody's talking about them. You've seen the videos. Everybody's talking about them. This is going to be their year. And the Knicks go out, and the Knicks are just the Knicks.
Yeah.
They somehow beat the Warriors the other night before the All-Star break. But other than that, they beat the Kings, the Clippers, who've been just meh. And they beat a decent Hawks team and the Mavs. And that's about it.
Yeah.
This team they're cursed. They are so cursed.
Yes, they are.
God, but yeah, those would be my three most disappointing teams.
Yeah. My three, definitely Brooklyn and the Lakers, for the same reasons. But the Knicks, just hilarious. Don't you love it? I would also argue Clippers with Kawhi and all them. Just barely hold on to the 8 seed. My top two, I'm going to talk in depth about one. Atlanta. Yeah. I feel like after, making as good a run as they did last year and how good they were, they've underachieved at 28-30. Because I would argue that last year they were further ahead than Memphis was, and now it's completely flipped the script. Like they both have their superstar point guard and everything, but they've completely flipped scripts this year. And my number one most disappointing team is the Pelicans because of Zion. And I know that's out of necessarily their control if he's hurt, but this team does have talent. They got Valanciunas. They just traded for CJ McCollum, but it's not going to matter until Zion comes back. And that's just definitely disappointing because they're not good. They're not good especially without Zion. And it just came out the other day that JJ Redick berated Zion for how what he didn't do. Like Zion didn't reach out to CJ McCollum whenever he was, brought to the team. And I know Zion's still young, but like there's certain things like he is, for all intents and purposes, Zion Williamson is the face of that franchise and he's barely even played for him.
Right.
So there's just certain things you got to do. And I know he's young, but yeah, Pelicans for sure disappointing.
Yeah. Another thing, probably said the Milwaukee Bucks. They're still fifth in the East. The East is a lot better this year, but Bucks after that championship kind of had a lull this year. It's kind of been around. And of course, Denver Nuggets, something you can say whenever you have Joe on your team, you think you should be a lot better. But just the West is so competitive for sure. So yeah, that's NBA for the first half. Their second half starts. If you're listening on a Thursday when they come back tonight. And you get a good game with the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves are going to play each other, which should be a really fun game for sure. You also get the Suns and the Thunder. Ew.
Yikes.
Ew.
Not going to be fun for anybody involved except Suns.
Yeah. Thunder are 18-40. I just want to say that. And again, they got Josh Giddey. He's kind of fun. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They got Mike Muscala's old self running around there.
I still can't believe that.
And Derek Favors, too. God. Remember those like 3 games where Luke against Dort was like the greatest player of all time in the bubble?
Yes.
The bubble was so weird, man. We were just
was great.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that's NBA for sure. And that will kind of wrap up our show. Except that we'll talk a little bit. We had college baseball this weekend. You get to check out any South Carolina this week?
Yeah, I did. Carolina had a 3-game series with UNC Greensboro and won the first one after being down. They came back and won the first game, dropped the Saturday contest, and then Sunday had a heck of a comeback, down 7-1 in the bottom of the ninth, scored 6 in the bottom of the ninth to force extras, ended up winning it in the 10th inning. So yeah, props to Carolina baseball for, not crushing my dreams this weekend and, keep coming back and getting a win. First series win of 2022. Hopefully there's more in store. So,
yeah, for sure. Clemson started off. They defeated Indiana 9-0 in the first game, 19-4 in the second game, and then 5-4 walk-off in the 10th in the third game, in which Camden Grice, he got the win as a pitcher and also hit a 415-foot home run earlier in the game. He smacked that one. And tonight as a recording, Clemson just knocked off College of Charleston 2-1 at home in the midweek. They had 17 strikeouts in that game, which is insane.
Wow.
Also, again, home field. The reason Clemson swept Indiana is because you don't have their shirts yet for Clemson. I'm telling you.
Dang.
Just drop Larry Nance, Trevor Booker, Terrence Oglesby, Tanner Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Just drop them real quick, please. The beatings will continue until Clemson gets shirts. This week it's Villanova. Jealous? I want it.
I do like the Villanova stuff.
Yeah,
the Illinois shirt that I got last week is really pretty as well.
The Illinois stuff, low key, really nice. It's really nice stuff. So,
I don't know if this says more about South Carolina or if it says more about Wake Forest, but South Carolina just had to win on Sunday to win the series against Greensboro. Well, they lost to Wake Forest 23-3 tonight. So,
oh my goodness,
they gave up 21 hits to Wake Forest. So maybe UNC Greensboro's midweek pitcher is just not it. So that's what I will prefer to believe. And South Carolina beat Winthrop tonight. Winthrop had 3 errors. So go Eagles.
God, Wake Forest has got the weirdest schedule. They played Lafayette, Georgetown, and VCU this weekend. UNCG tonight. They host NJIT this weekend. Then Elon. Then what is this? They host just the random teams, and then they go to Coastal and they play George Mason for some reason.
Interesting.
And then they start conference play.
Also, Georgia Tech had a crazy game this weekend against who they play? I think it was Wright State.
I think so. Yeah, I think I saw.
I saw YouTube highlights. There's a YouTube channel called Wheels that puts up highlights from college baseball games, specifically ones that are like at least broadcast on ESPN Plus or HC Network, whatever.
Yeah.
This game was crazy, man. Wright State, Georgia. This was opening day, first game. Georgia Tech wins the game 9-8, but how we got here is crazy. Wright State drops a 3-run home run, I believe, in the third. Goes up 3-0. Georgia Tech gets one back. Tech erupts and scores 3 in the 5th and 1 in the 6th and 2 in the 8th. So the math on that, they're up 7-3 right now. Wright State going into their final inning scores 5 on some crazy things. Some crazy, I think a couple errors happened. And then Georgia Tech ends up walking it off in the bottom of the 9th to get the win. But just it's a good watch if you go to Wheels, WHEELS, or maybe it's a Z on YouTube. Those highlights from Georgia Tech, Wright State, definitely worth the watch. And Georgia Tech is number 11 in the country as well. So
yeah, that's interesting. Another one, I don't know if you saw this, ECU and Bryant. ECU had a chance to walk it off, and they hit a walk-off home run, and they had to call the guy back because the ump gave the pitcher time.
No, that's crazy.
And ECU ended up losing that game. I don't know if you saw that. But I was like, oh, what a horrible way to lose a game. I think they ended up winning the series at ECU, but still, it was like, oh, yeah, that stinks. So yeah, good to see D1 college baseball is back. D2's been in full swing for a while. I believe Major League Baseball, they met this week for about 10 hours total in 2 days, and they sent Ian Happ down there. So do it, son.
Yeah,
get us, please. Like the week after I graduate from my master's program, the Braves play the Padres and the Red Sox. Those are two very good series.
Yeah.
I want to go, but I don't want to spend money unless I know we're having a season.
Right.
So
I agree.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Fine, I'm going to close it out. Instead of, we're going to do top plays we saw this week, but also I think I just want to preach, just talk about some players that don't get enough love. And, I'm a Clemson fan. And the first Clemson player that I loved as a fan, that made me a big-time fan, was the GOAT, Charlie Whitehurst. Clipboard Jesus, as you may know him, in the NFL. And that's when I started really watching Clemson football. And this man, you know what? You can have your Deshaun Watsons. You can have your Trevor Lawrences.
Oh, my God.
This is my guy.
Oh.
This is my guy. I don't care. God, he had some horrible stats his junior year. I forgot about that. He had 7 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Good Lord.
Yikes.
But you know what? This is my guy. He's still the only person to go 4-0 against South Carolina. Only quarterback to go 4-0 against South Carolina as a starter. He knocked off Florida State when they're number 3 in the country. That was the highest ranked win for Clemson ever. At that time, they've knocked off the number 1 Alabama since then, all that stuff. But he had all the records at Clemson until Deshaun Watson got there passing wise. And Taj Boyd. I think Taj Boyd broke a couple too. This guy was my GOAT. He got to the NFL and also had to come in for an injured Matt Hasselbeck and led the 7-9 Seahawks to the playoffs over a 6-10 St. Louis Rams team. It's the craziest Sunday Night Football game I've ever watched. One that was great. He never won an ACC title, but that's my dog right there. Charlie Whitehurst, greatest Clemson quarterback of all time. Waffle, you got someone you want to preach on tonight?
I'm just going to preach on. I'm going to stick to it. My favorite team, my favorite quarterback. I was Connor Shaw. I mean, this kid never lost a home game. Never lost a freaking home game. No, outside of South Carolina, nobody talks about him.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Because it's not like he was bad. I mean, I just said he was 18-0 at home. He never lost a home game. We had 3 straight 11-win seasons when he was here. He beat Clemson every year, which is obviously a big thing around here. And Connor Shaw, man,
1 interception his senior year.
Connor Shaw, man, it's unbelievable. And the comeback against Missouri is still just so fresh in my mind. Like I remember every aspect of it. Down 21-0 in the fourth quarter, came back, forced overtime. They missed a field goal in overtime after we kicked 1-1 a game. Crazy. Just Connor Shaw, man. He's gonna live. He should have a freaking statue at Williams Price. George Rogers obviously deserves his, but there should be at least some kind of something like just his bald head, just a head,
just glistening.
Yeah, just out there, just in the middle of in the open out there for Connor Shaw. But yeah, Connor Shaw forever.
The wrestler Al Snow, they had the head thing they'd hold up in the stand.
Yeah.
You gotta have that for Connor Shaw Appreciation Day. South Carolina, everybody holds up a head and you do Sandstorm, it lights up to the beat of Sandstorm. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
So the 2 quarterbacks. This is one of those random players we talk about type of segment.
Yeah.
So so we'll close out best play saw this week. Carson-Newman just had 4 dunks against Limestone. I may put all of them in here because they were insane. One, EJ Bush got an alley-oop from Luke Brennigan to end the game. There's about 28 seconds left. It's a blowout. Yeah. And EJ Bush, it was his senior day, and he just said, you know what, we're going to have an alley-oop. He also dunked on somebody's head, made an absolute poster. It really led to Chuck Benson, head coach. He got his first technical in 10 years. He hadn't had a technical in 10 years. And he got one because there was some talking earlier with the referee, and after this dunk, he literally basically ran on the court and fist bumped and almost hit the referee. And Chuck got his first technical. And I was like, "This is amazing." But crazy dunk, alley-oop, crazy dunk on the head, and also Ren Dyer. He made Sports Center earlier in the year. I showed you that play off off the guy's pack from Coker. He goes in with a putback dunk out of nowhere, and I literally yelled when it happened because I was not really paying attention. I just heard it and just then saw him just come out of nowhere and slam it home. Blake Griffin-esque, throwing it basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, two insane dunks. Carson-Newman men's basketball. It's a lot of fun, y'all. A lot of fun at these D2 games, especially with dunks. I think Limestone had a dunk earlier in the day. That was a lot of fun too. So yeah, just about 4 insane dunks from Carson-Newman.
Yeah. Don't sleep on D2. D2 is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We stand D2. But I'm gonna talk about D1. My play, I have 2. I feel like I always have 2. I just want to mention that Wendell bounce pass. It's so impressive.
So good.
And put that in. Here's the video. Wendell half court, right on Coach K court. Just bounce pass. It's a chest pass to AJ Griffin. It's so impressive. Like, you have to be so strong to do that. I just lost my train of thought. Yay, Wendell is basically what I'm trying to say. But my number 1 is South Carolina's Andrew Eister, down 7-3. They've already scored 2 runs in the bottom of the night. Andrew Eister steps up to the plate. The bases are jacked, and he slams this thing over the left field wall for a grand slam that ties the game up for Carolina. And they do go on in extras as what's his name? I think it's Michael Brasfield, one of Carolina's new guys. Starting shortstop, if I'm not mistaken. He gets put on and pitches in the 10th, gets a strikeout to get out of the inning, and then comes up in the bottom of the 10th and gets the walk-off hit. So Brasfield having an unreal first weekend as a Gamecock as well. But props to Carolina for doing that. And something for both of us that we will both mention. High school basketball in South Carolina. Yeah. Mauldin, the Mauldin Mavericks upset the Dorman Cavaliers. Dorman, always good at basketball, has been ranked as high as, I believe, number 2 nationally in the past couple of years. Where PJ Hall, who plays at Clemson, where he came from, just a heck of a basketball school. Mauldin upsets them 69-68 in the playoffs here in South Carolina on a last-second three-pointer by Caleb Bird. And what a shot it is, and what a scene. What a scene, the whole crowd going crazy, storming the court. High school basketball is dang good. Yeah. And, coming from where we're from Gaffney, there's definitely been some, 1, great players to come through there, and 2, some great games and great atmospheres up at the Burial Ground in Gaffney, so we're accustomed to it. And then just upstate basketball with Dorman being so good. But Mauldin pulling a shocking upset on a massive shot.
Yeah, that was insane. I felt like that whole game was insane. I was kind of falling down along, but yeah, this is insane. Yeah, high school basketball, so much fun, especially now when you're in the playoffs too.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's gonna do it for us. Hope y'all have a great weekend this weekend. They're gonna give a shout out Carson-Newman track and field team at the SAC Indoor Championships this weekend. Those are my guys. Good luck to them up in Winston-Salem for sure. I'll be covering that. And I want to give a shout out. The first week is a golf SID this week, and the Carson-Newman women's golf team win the Battle at Hilton Head tournament. Let's give a shout out to the freshman Caroline Nimes. She improved her standing by 30 spots today by shooting 1 under on the tournament. So shout out to her and shout out to that entire women's golf team for sure. So Waff, you got anything you want to shout out, plug? Just say
Lander women's basketball will be playing their final home game this weekend against Flagler. Some things still have to go their way, but they did get a big win over Georgia Southwestern this past Saturday. Some things still have to go their way as far as if they're going to host, the conference tournament, but anything can happen. You never know. But they play 2 games this week. But Saturday I will be on the PA and Finest Horn Arena in Greenwood, so I'm excited for that.
In Finest Horn area. Boy.
Oh, God.
And don't forget Carson-Newman softball goes play at Atlanta at Bearcat Fleet Invitational this weekend at Duckfield Spears.
Man.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. For sure. So that's going to do it for us. And we will see you back here next week.
You've been listening to Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Logos designed by Jen Perry. You can follow Richard on Twitter at Ricardo_knows or on Instagram at RNM1996. Catch up with Waffle at WaffDog on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on this Bearded Broadcaster production.